Hi, welcome to Whitey White Guy Show. I'm Whitey, and today I'm going to review a film called Wonderland that came out in 2003 that stars Val Kilmer, Josh Lucas, and a bunch of other people. This is a movie that is based on some actual events that happened in 1981 and a little bit the events right before it. And before I get into the film itself, which covered these events, I'm going to give you a little bit of context, just some ballpoint stuff, so you can understand what happened. So, I'll start with there were kind of five people that were drug dealers and thieves, robbers, violent people, some pretty nasty people. One guy, the lead guy, was named Ron Lanius. I think I'm saying that right. Another guy was Billy Deverell. And then there was a guy named Tracy McCourt and David Lind. And then they had the night that the event took place. There were three women with them. A woman named last name Miller, Barbara Richardson, and somebody else who was Ron Lanius, Susan Lanius. And so what happened is these four guys, Ron Lanius, David Lind, Tracy McCourt, and Billy Deverell, decided to rob another drug dealer who was way up the chain of command, well-connected guy, business guy. He was, I believe, he was from the Middle East originally, but he migrated to the United States and he went by the name Nash, Eddie Nash. And Eddie Nash was a very dangerous, connected drug dealer, murderer, thief, stuff. Never been convicted, to my knowledge, at this point in time. And what happened was what was called the Wonderland gang. That's Ron Lanius, Billy Deverell, David Lind, Tracy McCourt. They stole some guns, some antique guns from somebody else. They were trying to fence them and sell them. There was an intermediary, and this is where things get really interesting. And that was, I'm blanking on his name. I can't believe this. John Holmes, the famous porn star John Holmes, the guy who had a huge Holmes between his legs, who this is after, in the 70s, he was huge as the porn king. He was the porn king. Everybody knew who John Holmes is. To this day, you say biggest porn star, everybody says John Holmes. It was, you know what I mean? So, by this point, this is 1981. Video has replaced film. He's not making the money he used to make. He's a huge coke addict. He's got just into a whole world of nasty. His Holmes cannon doesn't fire anymore all the time. If you follow me, I can't say it out loud because the algorithm. And so he's hanging out with the Wonderland gang. That's Billy Deverell, Ron Lanius, David Lind, Tracy McCourt, and getting drugs from them. And he'll go to their parties, and he's what do you call it? He just kind of follows the party to get coke because he can't buy it on his own anymore, and because he's got a big Holmes, they kind of let him hang out there because the ladies are like, wow, it's huge. So there's the novelty, but they treat him, John Holmes, like crap, and there's a lot of tension there. John Holmes says he's friends with Eddie Nash, which he was, and Eddie Nash, I'll sell these guns to Eddie Nash for coke and drugs. Eddie Nash says it's too high profile, they're too unique, so if I sell them, it's going to go right back to the crime. But I'll get you $2,000 in collateral. They'll get you $2,000 in collateral for drugs. They aren't happy with this. Yada, yada, yada. Through John Holmes, they decide to rob Eddie Nash. They do. They embarrass him. They got guns in his face and his bodyguard, Greg Niles, all this stuff. And they take what is estimated at $1.2 million in drugs, guns, cash, what have you, that you'd get from such a guy. Huge score for these dudes. But John, and we'll get into the film in a second, but through John Holmes, it came back to the Wonderland gang that they're the ones who did it. And then John Holmes got Eddie Nash's grunts to go to the Wonderland gang house, and they brutally killed everybody there except for Susan Landius, who survived with Ray. They used serrated pipes and hammers and beat everybody to death, and it was blood splattered. It was a horrifying thing, and it's one of those things where it's like, you're not good people. You did it to yourselves, but still, damn, brutal way to go. And I don't feel bad for the guys. A couple of the women, I don't know if they knew what they're doing, but there was, I believe it was Susan Landius, and maybe one of the, it was just there, wrong place, wrong time, and so I feel bad for the women because they weren't directly involved in anything. They're happy to ride along to get the drugs and like the sex and what they wanted out of it, but they didn't necessarily deserve this. But it's like, still, it's when you get to the end of the film and this happened, you're like, damn, like, wow, that, it wasn't just pop 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 and you're out. Okay, you had that coming, but damn. So the film tells that story, and so, but it's not chronological. It starts out with John Holmes and his barely legal girlfriend, Dawn Schiller, who John Holmes met when she was like 15 at this point. I think she's maybe 19, something to that effect, barely out of high school age. And he's in his 30s or something, mid 30s, call it. And he mistreats her horribly, but sometimes when things are going well, oh, I love you, oh, I love you back, yay, we got coke, yay, all this stuff. And when things are going bad, it's punch, punch, punch in the face. And he would pimp her out. He pimped her out to Eddie Nash, have sex with this underage girl at one point, different points, and then she'd just become legal. John Holmes, not a good dude. Not a good dude. And when he was younger and he was clean, nice enough guy, but when he got into drugs and get all this, he became a monster, is the way to look at that. And so there's times where it's like, okay, maybe you didn't deserve the full spectrum what you got, but you still did some horrible shit, John. And so all these characters, it's like, did you deserve all of it? Maybe not, but you had some of this coming. So this is not a film where you're really rooting for anybody, but you do feel bad for people. Like John Holmes, his career's on the ass end, and he's, instead of being like, wow, he's getting mocked for it and mistreated. You gotta feel bad for him. It's like, yeah, he did some horrible shit, but in this moment, yeah, I feel bad for what he's going through. But then they do horrible shit, and you're like, why did I feel bad for you? So it's one of those. This is not a happy. This is not Barney the dinosaur, please and thank you are the magic words. This is horrible people doing horrible things to each other. And at one moment, you kind of feel bad for this guy. But then in the next moment, he's doing something horrible. And it's like, why did I feel bad to you? You're a horrible man. But I didn't know any of this. I've heard of John Holmes, of course. But when I came into the movie Wonderland, it was something where I was looking up. I think it was because I was looking up whether or not Val Kilmer was going to be in the new Willow. I believe it's a TV series coming up. And then I saw this. I'm like, Wonderland, Val Kilmer. I hadn't heard of this. Oh, Josh Lucas is in this. Ted Levine's in it. It's got a great. I'm like, oh, these are some of my favorite actors. MC Gainey and Ted Levine in scenes together. Those are my two guys that play the detective role. They often play cops and stuff. And they're some of my favorite of that character. And then they're in scenes together, and I didn't know about this. This is almost 20 years ago. Oh, I gotta watch this movie, but I had no idea what it was about. And so it was like, holy shit. It was shocking. So what happens is the first part of the film you're following, you start out with Dawn Schiller, who it looks like she's a teen, still in high school. I think she may have been 18, 19 at this point. And she's on the curbside crying with her little, I think she had a ankle biter chihuahua thing. And you feel, oh my gosh, that's horrible. And then Star Wars, the lady, Carrie Fisher. Carrie Fisher pulls up, who's this Jesus-y lady, and she's like, honey, are you okay? Getting the car. Oh my God, what happened to you? And then John Holmes pulls up, and he just scored some Coke, and she's like, yeah, you got some Coke. And you're like, you bitch. So she's a very sympathetic looking character, but she plays on people's sympathies to get what she needs in that moment. But then horrible shit happens to her, so you still feel sorry for her, but you keep putting yourself in this situation. You're with this guy, just leave him. So that's the first 20 minutes of the film. And then John Holmes meets up with Ron Lanius and Billy Deverill and the Wonderland gang, and they're all the whole time it's every other drug. They're just sitting around smoking cigarettes, snorting coke, and when are we going to get? How are we going to get the next score? Is their whole lives, according to the film. They had some kind of legitimate business, was like a front, I think, but this is in the movie. This is all you see of them. They're snorting. How are we going to do the drugs we got right in front of us now, and then how are we going to get more drugs? Oh, I know this guy over here is sitting on $2,000. Let's go rob him and take his money. That's their whole existence. These are not good people. That's the Wonderland gang. Um, and then John Holmes meets Eddie Nash. You get a brief intro to that. And then he's hanging out with Eddie Nash. Eddie Nash is the same thing. He runs nightclubs and stuff, but he's doing coke, he's doing heroin, whatever he can get his hands on, and throwing parties. And this inspired Boogie Nights. If you've ever seen Boogie Nights, that's very loosely based on this story, and this is the more on the nose. This is what actually happened, whereas that's kind of ish. Um, and so you cut. John Holmes is going back and forth and just getting treated like crap. And then you kind of feel bad for him, but then he pimps out Don Schiller. He goes, here you go, Eddie Nash, pay me money and have sex with my girl, who still would be in high school if she hadn't dropped out. And she's nasty. This is just not, you walk away, I do not like how this feels. It is just nasty. And then again, the Wonderland gang decides to rob Eddie Nash. They rob Eddie Nash, and then Eddie Nash has them killed brutally. And then the only other thing that's going on, you're following the detectives. And two detectives, MC Gainey and Ted Levine, if you know them. Ted Levine, you've seen in everything. He was Buffalo Bill in Silence of the Lambs. Puts the lotion in the skin and puts it on the basket, or whatever the line was. He's that guy. And they are so the murders happen. You really don't know what all went down there. You still don't know these people in the story. And Dill McDermott, who's one of my favorites, another reason I watched this movie. Again, just a whole Val Kilmer, Ted Levine, MC Gainey, Dill McDermott. These are some of my favorite actors. I'm blanking on the little dude whose name has been in everything. Tim Blake Nelson is in this, and Josh Lucas. It's a fantastic cast. But the detectives who are talking to David Lynn, played by Dill McDermott, so what happened was the murders took place, but two of the guys weren't there. Don Schiller wasn't there. John Holmes arguably was or wasn't, depending on who you ask. And then David Lynn, who was part of the robbery of Eddie Nash, he went off to go, do some coke and hookers, and wasn't there when the murder came through. He comes back, oh my God, my friends have been killed. And so he sits down with the detectives and says, it's that son of a bitch, John Holmes. He set us up. He sold us out. And Dill McDermott, I've never seen him give a bad performance, but there is B minus, B plus, A minus, A plus. Hamburger Hill, Dill McDermott, way up fuck up here. This is Dill McDermott acting his ass off. And I don't quite... David Lynn had some particular looking facial hair, the real life David Lynn. And Dill McDermott was kind of distracting because I'm like, that goatee is talking to me. Oh no, that's actually Dill McDermott behind it saying shit. But his performance is really good. And so it's one of those things where you get some of the context that you need, and then you see things, David Lynn is talking to the detectives, and you see things from his vantage point. Then another detective who has worked with John Holmes in the past, using John Holmes as an informant, sits down and says, John, tell me what happened. So you then see it from John Holmes' standpoint, and you see how the same things happen, but whose idea was what. So when once David Lynn tells we're guilty, but we got screwed we're less evil, Wonderland standpoint, and then John Holmes is saying we're guilty, but we aren't the villains from the Eddie Nash vantage point. So you're seeing the two different perspectives. So you see the same exact scenes, but it's told from different ways. And what was John Holmes's role in this, and what was David Lynn's role in this? So in one scene, David Lynn, they're doing the robbery of Eddie Nash, and he fires a shotgun that grazes the bodyguard. This big, huge black bodyguard guy. And in one point, it was an accident. Another one, he just missed. Depending on whose story you believe. And so towards the end, the detectives are debating who's right and who's wrong. And then, who's telling us more or less of it, because they're all lying scumbags. Who are we getting more of the truth from? And then John Holmes says that Eddie Nash got a hold of a black book with all his address, friends, and family. Says, I'm going to kill everybody in this book unless you tell me who robbed me. And that's when he gave up the Wonderland gang, and then they got brutally murdered because John Holmes, spilled the beans on who it was. There's a guy later, this isn't in the film because this happened after the events of the movie, who was a lover of Liberace. And he was there scoring some coke at Eddie Nash's house when John Holmes was getting tortured, basically, to give up the Wonderland gang. And so apparently John Holmes did take a brutal beating and had his friends and family threat, we're going to kill everybody you know if you don't tell me who robbed me. And that's when the Wonderland. And then his role in both cases was, because he knew both sides, he unlocked the door so the bad guys on each were able to get in. So John Holmes is the famous porn star, a pretty big record. Everybody talking about John Holmes. Oh, he's right in the middle of this, and to the extent of it's his fucking fault. If he doesn't tell him about Eddie Nash, the Wonderland gang, if he doesn't even tell him who Eddie Nash is, this never happens. And then if he doesn't go back to Eddie Nash's house thinking he's going to play innocent and then get the shit beat out of him, the Wonderland gang doesn't get killed. But credit to Val Kilmer, despite it all, at times you kind of feel bad for him because, he's a fuck up, not necessarily like a sadist. He fucked his whole life up. He's bringing other people down with him, but it's not what he wants to happen. He didn't want the Wonderland gang to get murdered. Or did he? According to David Lind, he did. According to John Holmes, he didn't. And Val Kilmer's able to, he's able to play it both ways. So Val Kilmer, sometimes there's Val Kilmer's like, yeah. This is Val Kilmer on crushing it. Val Kilmer's acting his ass off in this movie. Does a great job as John Holmes. Fantastic cast. All giving great performances. Christina Applegate of Everything fame. What all was she? Was in Married with Children, The Anchorman. She does a great job in this. One of the ladies from the TV show Friends. I'm not going to remember her name fast enough. The blonde from Friends. She does a great job in this. Plays John Holmes' ex-wife. The film looks great. Competently directed, written, everything. The performances are excellent. Josh Lucas plays a very dangerous dude, like of everybody involved. He's the guy that has you shitting your pants more than anybody else. Just a very volatile human being. He plays a really evil dude, Ron Linus in real life. And he does a great job with it. And he's played some villains and stuff in his time. But again, he's Josh pretty good. And then he would everybody who's always solid went to here in performance. So Wonderland came out in 2003. I just told you what happened. But it doesn't matter. You can go watch this movie right now and still be just blown. It's just a solid through and through film. But the fact that these people died and the incredible, and that it really happened. I watched this a few days ago, and I spent all weekend looking up who is who, and then you can go online and find the video of the investigation, and just there's the dead bodies and the blood or saliva. You want to go see what Billy Devereaux looks like when he's dead and his head's been bashed in. You can go look at it. It's online. It's an 81 quality grainy shit, so you can't make out a lot, but it's unnerving. So I remember I was getting through this. I'm ADD as hell. So I watched a chunk of it, and then I was like, "What happened?" So I skipped ahead to go see how it ended, and I was like, "Oh, those are the guys that get killed? Holy shit! You knew bad things were coming down the pipe, but god damn, and how they died, it was all." So I've been sitting there, go, who died in what order, and there's you can go online and find the pictures of them dead, bludgeoned to death, and it's just horrifying. At the same time, they had it. They had Ron Lanius had it coming. Billy Devil, maybe it was too far, but still, it's like you had it coming, but maybe not all of this. Like to this, this isn't necessarily how you needed to die. So you don't like these people. They're just grimy, awful people. And the only thing that you don't out and out hate them watching the movie is like Tim Blake Nelson. How do you be mad at Tim Blake Nelson? So the actor makes you not hate this guy too much, so that you feel bad knowing what happened to him. But the real life person is a scumbag, and so that's where you're at. That's where I'm at. I'm like, fuck yeah, they lived the lifestyle they did. They chose it. They were horrible people, but fuck, did it need to be all this? Like, yikes, they got their skulls crushed. Yuck. But go watch the movie anyway, because it's still like, holy fuck. Even though I just told you everything about it, I got to put spoilers on the title. Hoy. So, Wonderland from 2003. Val Kilmer, MC Gainey, Ted Levine, Jill McDermott, Tim Blake Nelson, Christina Applegate, Josh Lucas. Phenomcast, all crushing it. Go check it out today, and I'll see you on the next video. Cheers.